All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak another lesson. Shalom to you, brothers and sisters that are in the truth. Shout out to the men GMS for the truth and speaking of the word and the scriptures in these last days. I'm just going to, do some reading out of Jeremiah 11. It's being led by the Spirit. Um, just a little background about Jeremiah. He's uh, in the Babylonian captivity. He's like pre-Babylonian captivity, and as Jeremiah is warning Israel of things to come. Due to their disobedience and the consequence to come. Ultimately, which is the Babylonian takeover. So Jeremiah is talking to the people prior to just delivering the message, the exhortation, you guys need to come out, of this, type of messages to the people, from the words of Yahweh, as it relates to our behavior and the covenant and the consequences when we break the covenant. Jeremiah, just gonna go right into it. See where the Lord takes us here. Yahweh, the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh saying, "Hear ye the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem." So there's this, that's who the message is to. This message is to the men of Judah, and to Jerusalem, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and that, and then there are references, in Scripture where it's the when it says Jerusalem, it can be the city or it can be the people, so that we're talking about the people here, and to the inhabitants thereof, right? So that's the saints. These are the Israelites. That's who these words from Yahweh is going to directly. And this is also something that is indicative of a lot of scriptures and texts and books that we have. We look at uh, let's see, James chapter 1. James is serving Yahweh and the Lord, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes, which are scattered abroad. So who's this audience? It's the 12 tribes. So they're talking to the tribes. They're talking to Israel, let's see. First Peter chapter 1, Peter, an apostle Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered. The strangers scattered. What is scattered? That's the diaspora. That's the dispersed. We're the scattered people. Once again, that's due to our disobedience and the consequences that we will be scattered among the nations. And then, he mentioned some of the nations throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia. So we're a scattered people. So we're just hearkening to um, uh, the audience of scripture of these letters of these books has not changed. That which was then is now, and the same today. Yesterday for forever. So I think when it comes to us understanding in these times in this age, this book of prophecy is talking to us directly, talking to you Israelites directly. So. I just wanted to make that known as we get through this text. Hear ye the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say thou unto them, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the power of Israel, the God of Israel, cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant. So cursed be the man who obeyeth the words of this covenant. So what are they talking about, man? So the covenant is law, statutes, and commandments, the covenant that was given to the children of Israel. And these are promises that were made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the covenant as the children of Israel were crying due to their bondage in Egypt. Yahweh remembered the promises to the forefathers, right, and brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. And then at that time, through Moses, the prophet Moses. Now we have the covenant. We have the holy law. We have these things that that are a part of our relationship with Yahweh. This is like it's like some serious business, right? So actually, let me go grab some stuff here. See, actually, not Genesis. Let me think. Um, No, that's what I'm on. Hold on. Blessings and the curses. Blessings and the curses. Mm-hmm. Second brothers. Come on. No, I know where it is. Deuteronomy. Okay. Well, we know that Deuteronomy 28 goes through the blessings and the curses as it relates to uh, uh, the children of Israel and what was presented and what do the covenant and the promises mean. And here we go. And praise Yahweh Hashem, Yahshua. See, I have this is Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15. It says, "See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil, and that I command thee this day to love the Lord Yahweh thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, and Yahweh thy God, thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou go to possess it. But if thine turn away, if thy heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shalt be driven away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you that I have set before you life and death, okay? Blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life that both thou and thy seed may live, right? That thou mayest love Yahweh, thy power, thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. So it's like it's choosing life. There's commandments, there's decrees. He said, walk in these ways. Keep these commandments and these statutes and this judgment. If you do that, you have life. If you don't, there's the other side of that. He said, life and good and death and evil. We try to get that life and good. The death and evil, that's the consequence. Back to Jeremiah, and it's talking on verse 3. That's what we kind of talk about, and say thou unto them, thus saith the Yahweh, God of Israel.